everyone, and welcome to another video. I am going to be taking you through my drawing process today, specifically for portraits. It's not always the same every time I draw a portrait, but generally I start with landmarks, just picking a significant shape or feature of the face, starting with that, and then kind of plotting where everything else is in relation to that feature. So with this drawing, I started with the eyebrows, and then the hairline, and nose, ears, and the side of the face. I find it's a lot easier to start this way with major shapes than to go straight into features. Though looking back, I can kind of see I got a little distracted by the features a bit early on, but that's okay. I can see that I'm using a lot of short and quick strokes with the pencil instead of making bold, confident marks. I feel like when I get too detailed early on, it kind of messes up the whole drawing. And you can kind of see it throughout this process. I erase and redo a few things. Yeah, I think I redo the eyes, nose, hairline, lips, okay, like everything. Yeah, so once I've gotten like the major shapes and kind of got the structure of the face, then I start adding in the medium details. Not so much the finer details, but so like adding a bit more definition to some of the major features, just kind of solidifying what I initially got down onto the page. And here we go with my second attempt for the ear. As for the hair, I usually just go for a giant shape. I don't like doing lots of detail in the hair. Unless my goal is to make the hair the focal point, I don't really put much effort into the hair except for shape and maybe light shading. I also like to add shapes for the shadows. Even if I don't necessarily fill them in with value, I like to have the shapes in there just to break up the face. His lips were pretty difficult to get. I don't know why, I just couldn't quite figure out the way his lip falls into the corner of his mouth. I think that's always the trickiest part for me. And I think that's kind of like what makes it looks like the person. Overall though, my goal isn't really to be super photorealistic, although I kind of trick myself into thinking that that is my goal. But I don't really like photorealistic art. I don't like making photorealistic art. I'd rather create than imitate. Although when I was making this video, it was my third attempt. The other two, just the camera quality wasn't good, so when I was filming this one, I was mostly focused on just getting the drawing done and filmed, rather than how I wanted to draw the portrait. But as it goes on, like about here, I'm starting to kind of remember how I like to draw portraits, how I want it to look, and with the style I like. I go in with just a little bit of shading. I don't like a ton of shading, and to be honest, I'm still practicing how to shade. It's not my strongest skill, but I like to create focal points with values. So I will put some shading in around the eyes, nose, and lips because that's usually where I like the focal point, and maybe a little bit at the ear as well, though I didn't with this one. I tried to go in and shade the hair, but it did not work, as you can see. I just completely erased it. And I tried to get that hairline piece 3 times, and still I'm not sure. I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. But I decided just to do some general gestures, some general line gesture for the hair, just to give it a little bit of character, but not distract from the face. And I went in with some lighter value for the hair, just to set it apart from the skin and the face, but not so dark that it competes with the main focal points. I also like with the ear on this one that it's got some broken line in it. I remember a professor telling me that I needed to close my shapes and connect all my lines, but I don't like doing that. I like having some parts in the drawing where it doesn't completely connect and it opens up. I just prefer it that way. And I add some lighter shading on the rest of the face and neck, again just to set the face apart, give it some interest, and then I went in with a little bit darker with the hair, just adding more shadows around the face. I like just using line for shadow. I just like how it looks. And I do a little bit of blending with my finger as well. If something catches too much attention, then I usually smudge it with my finger, so it's softened and not taking a lot of attention. So there's a quick little insight on how I draw portraits. If you'd like a more in-depth video or a real-time video on drawing portraits, just let me know in the comments and I'll probably do it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.